Oh, hello. Welcome to episode 17 of the Top 2 Inches Rugby podcast, brought to you by I Spy Surveys, the go-to specialist survey and inspection company based in Exeter, Devon. Hello and welcome all. So, apologies again for the technical issues we had last week during the recording of the podcast. There was some terrible feedback on my end. So it has prompted not myself, but also Ollie to purchase some new equipment to bring you a better quality sound whilst you're listening to the podcast. So hopefully we'll have no new problems with the new equipment, but let's never say never. What is going to be on this episode? Well, there wasn't a great deal of rugby to kind of talk about, but there is a lot of news. The Six Nations squads have kind of been named by the various countries, so we'll have a little look into that. We'll also have a little preview of the up-and-coming Premiership games and obviously the fantasy rugby. And we'll just have a little look over what other news has kind of taken place since the last podcast. And yeah, basically see what's going down. Obviously, we are available on all various platforms, such as Anchor, Spotify, YouTube and Anchor Podcast. We are on Twitter. We have got a few more listeners. I'm throwing a few tweets out there, not trying to be too controversial. But if you do want to kind of get involved with us, it's at Top 2 Inches RP. Go on Twitter, follow us. That's also a place where you can get all the podcasts directly into your feeds. So anyway, I'll stop rambling now. Let's get on with the episode. Okay, so here we are. How you doing, mate? Good for you. Good that you joined us again. No technical difficulties this week.
They're all looking good so far, mate. Hello, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I am talking a little bit quietly because we are recording a little bit later than we normally do.
We are. And kiddies are in bed, all tucked up asleep.
Kiddies are fast asleep and tucked up, mate. So how
for the moment, anyway. For the moment.
Well, until they wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, like they did this morning, causing havoc, and then
mine will probably be waking about half an hour, mate. But that's.
Oh, bless your heart. And mine will, no doubt cause havoc and literally be climbing up the walls. How you been, mate? You okay? How's your week been?
Not too bad, mate. Actually, to be honest, probably doing a lot better than you are right now.
Absolutely, yes. Because as Ollie has alluded to, my good lady does work in the care industry on the front line, and I also work on the front line. But unfortunately, she has come down with COVID-19. She has had a positive test, and we, as a family of 3 kids and the dog, are currently in lockdown, isolating for the next 10 days.
Yeah, really, really sorry to hear that, mate. How is the other half doing? Is she?
She's doing all right. She has a bit of a cold, bit of a headache, and just feeling generally quite tired. So I'm hoping it's doesn't get any kind of worse than that. But I do think there is a massive shout out to all the frontline workers who are out there doing their stuff, putting themselves at risk. But also a massive shout out to all the parents that are home schooling whilst also working from home, and literally the juggling act of doing that is ridiculous, as I found out today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate in one way like that because mine are too young for school age yet, but I can fully appreciate and understand it, mate. It's
Yes.
all the people that are having to deal with it, it's pretty much mission impossible, isn't it? But
yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a crazy old scenario.
Potentially going on till Easter, I think they're talking with the schools now.
Yeah. I mean, I literally, we've been quite blessed in the fact that our kids can go to school, and this is the first time since obviously everything's gone pear-shaped that we've had to kind of deal with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing but respect for anybody that's already dealt with it, because it's mental. It's just mental.
Yeah, well, exactly. There's some people who have been doing months and months of it, isn't it?
Yeah, so I can't grumble too much, and nothing but respect for everybody that's had to deal with it, to be fair.
Yeah, and long may this crazy world we're living in come to an end and get back to some sort of normality, isn't it? But,
yes, yeah, not on the apocalyptic end, just a sense of normal.
Yeah, I didn't mean end of the world.
Yeah, let's not go down that route. Anyway, we're not here to talk COVID.
COVID turns into zombie.
I'd be all right with that, mate. I would be all right with that. Anyway, let's
as long as we keep the pod going, that's what matters.
Yeah, that's just it for all the zombies out there to listen to. Anyway, let's just talk about rugby. Obviously, there's no games to talk about, but there is a lot of news to kind of have a little peruse over. And the first one, should we just start with the announcement of the squads for the various Six Nation teams?
Yeah, okay, yeah, good.
Yeah, so unfortunately already, just to go straight to the negative, so Joe Marler, Joe Launchbury, and now Sam Underhill have all been withdrawn from the England squad.
Yeah.
Obviously, Joe Launchbury and Underhill have their own kind of injuries that they're dealing with, and Joe Marler has obviously decided that at these times, as we've just said, it's important to be with his family. I think he's got 4 kids, maybe. So you can't kind of hold that against him. Fair play for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite an unusual one, isn't it? I mean, I totally agree. You being a family guy, I think obviously family comes first, doesn't it? I think, but what's going on there, mate?
Don't know. It went a bit funny, didn't it? Let's just carry on. Let's not talk technical difficulties or put a what's it on it.
Right, can you hear me, mate?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so the dreaded technical difficulties of it again.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I was just thinking on the Marler thing, like, like I said, I obviously, same as you being a family guy, totally respect it. The only thing that's crossed my mind is because I think it's the second time he's pulled out of an England selection squad, so it's just be interesting to see how Eddie reacts to it, isn't it? But you can't go against him putting his family first, but
no, absolutely.
Whether secretly Eddie will be thinking twice about selecting him again or whatever, isn't it? But
yeah, but I think also you got to, like we said, total respect to him, but you got to look at also the guys that are kind of in, Mako's also not available. Yeah. Genji's been playing fantastically well and probably deserves an opportunity to, get a few starts under his belt. And is it Tom West they've brought in from Wasps?
Yeah, I think it is as the sort of Marler replacement, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's been putting in some good performances as well for Wasps. I mean, obviously they're flying reasonably well at the moment with their consistency in games and performances. So it's probably not a bad idea to get some young blood in. And obviously, I think probably out of the 3, the 2, obviously Launchbury would be a massive loss, but then you've got Courtney Laws, but I would say probably Sam Underhill is the biggest loss out of the 3, really.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, it's a real shame for Launchbury because he's kind of in the form of his life at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, really... But as I've sat here and said about Underhill, I've totally forgotten about what's it called? The Bristol Saracens guy, Ben
L. Yeah,
Ben L. So actually, is it that big a loss?
Yeah, and there's always the argument you got. I mean, you could switch Curry to 7, isn't it? Because he's really his sort of first choice position is 7, isn't it? As long as Billy's fully fit and firing, he's number 8. So then it's just slotting some for 6, and you've got Courtney Laws, potentially a Toji, isn't it? So that's probably not quite as big a loss as I don't know. Actually, I don't know who's biggest impact. We got good strength and depth throughout, really, isn't it? And like you say, if it gives a couple of new guys a bit of a chance to some play. I've got clicking at my end. Have you got?
No clicking, mate. I'm all good. I'm hearing you fine. Just ignore it. I can't hear clicking, so it won't be there.
Oh, good.
Hopefully. Yeah. So, but just moving on to that, obviously Harry Randall's being selected. I can't imagine he's going to start, but I can imagine that he'll be maybe on the bench and come on a bit, inject some pace, later on in the game maybe. And obviously Paolo Adogwu. Again, are you thinking he's going to come straight in? Or are you thinking he'll probably be on the bench?
I think probably they'll do bench for both of them, and you'll go bench for both of them, isn't it? But it'd be great to see them get a bit of game time. I think both of those guys are obviously on absolute fire at the moment, aren't they? So see what they can do in the international scene, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously England's first game up is Scotland, so it wouldn't be a bad. Oh, sorry, the dog's just started to have a dream while he's sleeping and making some funny noises. Hopefully the microphone don't pick that up. Yeah, and obviously the opening game against Scotland, not saying that Scotland are rubbish or anything, but it'd be quite a good game to kind of blood those guys, wouldn't it, coming off the bench and giving them the opportunity when there's a few tired Scottish legs, etc.
Yeah, providing the game goes to plan.
Yes, because Scotland obviously do spoil the party now and again.
Well, they got them. Scotland are useful, mate. It's not
to be fair,
side, is it? And certainly, with us missing a couple up front in the front row, they're sort of priding themselves on their front five of recent times, aren't they? So
yeah, absolutely.
And Cam Redpath, if he gets to go in the centres,
that's an interesting one, isn't it? Obviously, he
snubbed Eddie.
Yeah, he snubbed Eddie, but has obviously had some experience playing for England in the youth kind of side.
Yeah,
obviously at Bath boy, decent player. What's your kind of thoughts on him throwing down for Scotland? Obviously his dad's Brian Redbath, the former Scottish. Was he a British Lion, Brian Redbath? Probably.
I don't actually know. I expect he was, but obviously a bit of a legend in Scottish terms, isn't he? But I don't see that as any sort of surprise that he's chosen his allegiance with Scotland. But and it's good as well in some way, because there's all these sort of rumours in the past of Eddie sort of getting people involved just to make sure they got the England cap and can't go anywhere else, sort of thing, isn't it? I mean, there's even the argument with the two new selections this time round, isn't it, with the Dogwu and Randall, because I think, Randall was being tapped up by Wales, wasn't he? And Dogwu's got an Italian link apparently, hasn't he? So it'd be interesting to see whether they get any game time and then feature after this Six Nations as well,
or is Eddie just kind of stopped them going where he doesn't want them to go?
Exactly, yeah. That's all politics. We'd never know truth on that sort of thing, will you? But I think quite cool for Redpath, and also a great thing for Scotland, isn't it? I mean, potentially he could be a real sort of international superstar for them for years to come, isn't it? So the way he's progressing as a player, he's turning into some player. I think he's having a great season so far for Bath. About the only one, I think. But
well, let's come back to Bath, because there's been some interesting news coming out of Bath, which you can fill us in a little bit more on. Obviously, Wales, Alan Wynne-Jones is coming back to some sort of fitness. Hopefully, I think he's been named in the squad. Wales look pretty tidy, but obviously a pretty rubbish autumn Autumn Nations Cup.
That's the one.
Wales, that's the one. Obviously, Wales didn't perform particularly well. What do you reckon Wales' chances are? Did we? I can't even remember what we did last week now.
We did. Yeah, we did kind of cover it last week, but obviously we didn't have the squad selections then, did we? But
no.
I don't think really any change to what we were saying. I think we sort of said England and France hopefully top two, and I think we said England with the home advantage, potentially pipping France, and then Ireland third, Wales fourth, and Scotland fourth.
Italy last.
Yeah, Wales and Italy. That was what we were sort of suggesting, and I don't really see any particular reason from the squad selections where potentially, I mean, you never know, obviously, being what actually happens, but I would stick with those as my predictions personally. But
yeah, I mean, the Welsh squad on paper looks pretty decent, to be fair, but it's whether they can turn what is on paper into, like you say, on the pitch. And the Ireland team, obviously Stockdale's out because of injury, and Andy Farrell's thrown a bit of a curveball because he's got the monster scrum half, isn't he? Craig Casey got his first kind of call up into the squad. I was a bit surprised because old Cooney, I thought, was kind of back playing some decent rugby again. He was a little bit out of form, but obviously that hasn't kind of transpired into him getting the nod.
Yeah, it's a massive tough call, isn't it? I feel pretty sorry for Cooney. He's had an awesome couple of seasons, hasn't he? And he's probably I think a lot of people would say he's arguably the sort of the form number 9 in Ireland for the last season or so, isn't he? And I don't know what it is. Farrell just doesn't seem to rate him, does he? So,
No.
which is a shame because he could do some damage for Ireland, I think, if they had him at 9. But
Yeah,
maybe it doesn't really go with Farrell's
master plan.
style, and the way he sort of sees the game and wants to play it, isn't he? Because he's quite obviously with a league background, he's quite a direct, physical
Yeah.
he plays, isn't it? Whereas Cooney's very much a sort of running flair type number 9, isn't he? But
yeah, absolutely.
Murray's a bit more solid on that side, I suppose, isn't he? With being a bit more of an all-round and box kicking and everything.
I'd imagine Murray will pretty much be there till he doesn't want to be there, I guess. Probably a bit like Sexton as well, really. And obviously the French, I think they've got a couple of injury worries as well, haven't they? But their size looking.
Katawa's injured, isn't he?
I think so. That was what I was thinking. And wasn't one of the back row? Was it Aldrete that's injured as well?
I haven't heard that actually, mate. But yeah, possibly.
Okay, I could be wrong. I'm sure I heard or read somewhere that one of the French back rows was injured as well. But
I mean, they've already proven they've got pretty good strength and depth, haven't they? So
well, yeah. Let's just, like we say, just go back to the 8 Nations. No, Autumn Nation. Jesus. Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm not going to be too worried. Well, I will be still worried about whoever France can kind of put out on the field. So in Italy, the Wasp fullback Minozzi has kind of ruled himself out just due to pretty much fatigue and tiredness.
Yeah, I heard something similar. That's an interesting decision as well, but I guess similar in the way to Marler, isn't it? It's a personal reasons thing, so
can't hold it against him.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no. Absolutely. I agree on that one. So I think that probably pretty much covers the
Six Nations
squads, and obviously the other news hitting the headline is Paul Gustard has gone from Harlequins.
Yeah,
has actually gone to Benetton.
Has that been announced now, is it?
Yeah, so Gustard makes a surprise move after Harlequin's departure. He's got a 3-year deal as defensive coach. Jesus, it's late. The defence coach at Benetton.
Oh, I didn't know that. So that just been announced today, is it?
Yesterday, today kind of scenario, I think. I mean, fair play to that, but I wonder, with the quickness of going from one to the other, if the waters in Harlequins weren't looking too good, and he's obviously thinking, I could be on the way out here. Let's see what's out and about there, and kind of secured himself something before he was pushed out, maybe.
Yeah, I think it is that without a shadow of a doubt, mate. It's reading between the lines, isn't it? I think he was had been in contract negotiations for renewing his contract, hasn't he? But I heard it was more sort of him umming and ahhing, whether or not you'll ever know the true facts, but it's more sort of him umming and ahhing about extending the contract than the club. So yeah, I mean, he must have been out seeing what else is out there, isn't it? But it's a strange one, though. Obviously, that the fact that he's, I guess it hasn't panned out how he and the club thought it was and hoped it was going to, isn't it? With him joining Quins.
Yeah, absolutely, which is a shame, really, because obviously he's got a lot of experience behind him. Obviously, coming from Eddie Jones's coaching staff, and I guess also it's probably a case of you look at the players that are in there. He hasn't really brought anybody in. He was kind of like we said. I think actually don't know if we said this or we've talked about it in general. He's left with John Kingston's squad, isn't he? And it takes a good couple of years to kind of, when you're a new coach, figure out if you want anybody from that previous squad and who you're going to bring in to make things different.
Yeah, and also I say really you don't know exactly what goes on, but there's quite a few. I know obviously Rob Shaw's just left, but there's quite a few very senior players, a sort of a reasonable group of them at that club, which I think probably have a fair bit of influence in what happens, sort of on and off the field at the club. So he might have had a bit of a battle of wills on that as well. You never know, do you? But
no, absolutely. But And also, obviously, Danny Kerr's just re-signed.
Yeah, it's bad timing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that sort of backs up what I was just saying
what
there.
we were saying, yeah. And obviously, Mike
Makes it
Brown's off to.
Is that done deal with Mike Brown?
I think it might be. Well, there's definitely the rumours that he's going, and obviously there's also the rumours that Joe Marler's had enough and is thinking of going to Irish.
Yeah. But whether or not all that changes now, Gus, I don't know.
No, absolutely. And obviously Chris Ashton's just left Quins as well and gone to Worcester.
Yeah.
So, it kind of does sort of suggest that things weren't, all that great at Harlequins for whatever reason, whether it's a clash of personalities or clash of styles of play or clash of kind of, how players and coaches perceive the club and the direction they want to go in. Something definitely seems awry at Quins, really.
Yeah, it does, mate. We'll never know exactly what went on, but it'd be interesting to see their next moves as to who stays, who goes, and obviously who comes in to take over. Interesting to see.
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
does come
Absolutely.
Thinking of who's sort of available at the moment, isn't it? But,
yeah, no, I agree. Totally agree. And another interesting one, obviously, Freddie Burns. There's rumours that Freddie Burns is going back to Leicester.
Yes, there is.
Which I really don't. I like Freddie Burns. I think he's a top lad. Not that I know him personally, but just from what I've seen of him. And obviously he was originally at Leicester, and there was the swap with George Ford in Bath to get George Ford back.
Well, he was Bath first, wasn't he? He's a Bath boy,
first?
isn't he? But yeah, he's a Bath boy, isn't he? So sort of came up the age groups, I think, in Bath, and then involuntary swap from Leicester to Bath, wasn't it, when Ford went back to Leicester? But yeah, I mean, interesting that if he's even considering it, because you would have thought with what's gone on at both clubs, he wouldn't even ever consider Leicester ever again. But I think it'd actually be quite a good signing for the Tigers.
Yeah. But again, I don't understand it because obviously they've got Zach Henry as well. They've got the Argentine Bonilla. Can't pronounce his name. He looks is supposed to be pretty decent. It's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's just having an experienced back up for Ford, isn't it? Because Ford's going to be pretty much out for the rest of the season with internationals and stuff, isn't he? So. I mean, Zach Hendry's looks pretty useful, and the Bonner, but Zach Hendry's only he's still quite inexperienced, isn't he? He's only a youngster, so
yeah. If
you've got someone like Freddie Burns around as well, who can step in as and when experienced heads needed when Ford's not around, that'll be pretty useful. But
yeah, no, that's
whether it happens or not, be interesting.
Who knows? We shall wait and see what happens. Okay, on to the next point, which has totally gone out of my head.
Transfer rumours, or?
Well, no, there's another one just away from. I know we don't talk about kind of Pro 14, etc. But Leone Nakawara is off to Ulster next season. I've just read the Fijian chap. Yeah,
Saints winger.
No. That's no. Glasgow, second row, number 8, isn't it, Nakarawa?
Oh, okay.
I think I might be getting my Fijians completely wrong here. It's hard to say. 32-year-old departs Scottstown this summer after 2 spells with the club. So he is number 8, I think, and he's off to Ulster. Really good player, I think.
Yeah, he is decent, and that's a good signing for Ulster, indeed, and a bit of a loss for Glasgow, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's obviously Premiership is back this weekend. Let's just have a kind of chat about the up and coming fixtures. Friday night is a really interesting. So there's 2 games on the Friday, 2 games on the Saturday, 2 games on the Sunday. At the moment, it's looking like they're all going to go ahead. There's only been 1 positive COVID test in all the teams, I think.
Where was that?
Where was it? I don't know, mate.
It was at Bath, mate. It was at Bath.
Was it another Bath? Was it? Was this the one where they had like
a ridiculous situation that's just gone on with?
Yeah. the whole the 19 guys, but then there was the tests were all wrong.
Yeah, the test came back that all bar one was errors in the testing system, which is fantastic, isn't it?
So
it's self isolated, plus everyone for over a week before they can go back training again.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one. But obviously, just on Bath, sorry, mate, we had a conversation earlier in the week, didn't we? Bath have gone down get some big Saffers in and bolster your team. What's going on there? Tell me more.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, mate. But there's certainly some. Looks like there's some Springboks coming in. Obviously, the Schumann, number 10, who's already there and in training, isn't he? Potentially going to be in the squad for this weekend. And they've just announced, as you know, the signing of the hooker, the Toit, I think, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And not confirmed yet, but I think there's a back rower from Cheetahs as well, it looks pretty much like they're going to Jacko Coetzee or Coetzee, however you pronounce it. But yeah, he's I think he's predominantly a number 8, but he can play across the back row. So looks like that's probably the sort of Mercer straight in and out, isn't it? But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Is Toby Fallet out leaving Bath as well?
No, I don't think he is, mate. There was rumours of it, but I think he's just announced in the last week that he's just extended his contract. So so that's good news.
Yeah, definitely.
He's obviously a fantastic player, but yeah, this South African player is obviously the straight replacement for Mercer, I think. But and then I don't know if you've heard, but Gerv Dempsey, attack coach, is on his way out.
He's on his way out as well.
Yeah.
So sorry, are these South African boys starting this season or next season?
I'm not sure about the back rower actually, because that's not been confirmed by the club yet. But the obviously Schumann's in now, isn't he? He's in Farley House training.
Yeah.
The hooker, by all accounts, has landed in the UK and is currently starting his quarantine period, which is whatever it is, 14 days. So he'll be joining up as soon as that's completed. And yeah, I say the back row has not actually been confirmed yet. So, but it may well be that he's coming straight over as well. But I know Dempsey's end of the season. He's
right.
He's leaving,
which is a shame, really.
It is, because obviously his sort of history before coming to Bath is pretty fantastic. His track record, isn't it? But for whatever reason, it just he hasn't had the same success with getting the back line and the attack going at Bath as it should be, is it? So I think it's probably the right decision. Personally, I think a change with the attack coach and a change at number 10 could make a big difference for the Bath side. But so hopefully those two are now coming into place. It'll be interesting to see how it all transcribes. But interestingly, I heard today actually doing a bit of research on the Williams, isn't it? The new back coach. He was the academy coach. I don't know if you know, a few years ago, back sort of 212 cup. I think he did nigh on a couple of years for Bath,
right?
In that role, sort of 212, 214. But he was and he was quite involved with sort of spotting young new talent and recruitment of up and coming players, and he brought the likes of Joseph and Watson.
Okay.
That sort of crop of players that came to Bath, which has been relatively successful. But yeah, interestingly, he had a spell, I think, is it last season or season before, at in South Africa at the Cheetahs. So
wow, okay.
It looks like potentially there's a bit of a link with all signings, isn't it? But
yeah, no, I wasn't aware of that, mate. Oh, that's good knowledge there, dude. Well done.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it'd be interesting to see how it transcribes. I think number 10, Schumann, high hopes for him. Hopefully, if he can sort of.
Well, yeah, because isn't Prieston supposed to be? Sorry, I can't remember. Is Prieston in the Wales squad now or not?
No, he's not. There was rumours.
No, yeah.
I think Pivac tried it, but as a sort of extenuated circumstances or something, because he's not got his 50 caps, has he?
Right. Okay.
The Welsh Rugby Union didn't allow it. So I think if they had, he would have been in the squad. But yeah, I think he's on his way out anyway. There's rumours of him. I don't think it's anything. I think he's probably likely to be going back to Wales.
Right. Okay. I gotcha. Okay, so let's get on to Friday night fixtures. First game up, the derby game, Bath and Bristol at Bristol.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bristol will have a few players away with the Six Nations squads and stuff. Bath obviously going to have quite a few players away as well. Where are you seeing this one going, mate?
Well, sadly, I think it's only ever going to go one way. But I would just like to see Bath make a game of it and sort of run it close. If we can get if we could get potentially a losing bonus point, something like that, that would sad to have to say that again, but that would actually be a good result out of this.
You've said that a few times this season already, mate, haven't you?
I know, but yeah, it's I mean, obviously it's tough. Bristol were like probably the top form side, and you're going away to them. They're obviously going all out for some big trophies, aren't they? So, and Bath so far have very much got nowhere near where they should be on hitting any sort of run of form. But I think overall, Bath also just to make it even matters worse. But it's the England guys that aren't available, isn't it? And I think Bath are more affected than Bristol.
Yeah.
On that side, but
yeah,
I know obviously they got Harry Randall, first choice number 9, but back up you're in. Yeah, he's not bad, is he? And obviously, yeah, they're big guns. Randrandras and
Luatua and Pietau, they're all going to be there.
Sheedy's available as well, which that would have actually, if Wales had not allowed him to play, then that could have hurt them a bit more, because they haven't necessarily got a sort of an out and out backup 10, I don't think. But I suppose Sinclair's the other one. But yeah, I definitely think as far as players missing, Bath are worse off. But I can only see it going one way, unfortunately. But to be honest, yeah, like I say, just with the way the season's gone for Bath so far, it would just be you just want them to contest and actually have a good, a good stab at it and make a contest of it.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, mate, unfortunately, for Bath, I tend to agree with you. I would definitely be back in Bristol to win that one at home. So it moves on to the next game Friday nights as well, and I guess Leicester at home, Welford Road against Sale. I was going to say Alex Sanderson. Is Alex?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alex.
Is it going to be Alex Sanderson effect? So Sale going to go to Welford Road and get the win? I mean, Tigers have been putting in some better performance lately. Obviously, there'll be no Ellis Genge or Fordy, but there's quite a few, decent players there.
Yeah, I think Sale might pip it actually, mate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sale aren't going to lose many players, aren't they?
Yeah, that's the main thing. I know Tigers aren't losing necessarily that many, but it's the guys that they are losing that does really impact the side. I think especially George Ford, when Tigers don't have George Ford in the side, it makes a huge difference to them. But just because, that's why I say Freddie Burns is potentially a really good signing, but it's like a real dent in the side. It's a different side, isn't it? But
yeah,
I don't know whether Wrigglesworth is fit to play, is he? But
is he? I thought, is he not still banned? Wasn't he banned from the whole Barbarians things?
He's still on that ban, is he? Yeah. So if that's the case, obviously Ben Young's being with England as well, then you're down to sort of inexperienced young halfbacks, isn't it? Which could hurt. And Genji as well, who made a big difference in the last round, didn't he? But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Sale are not in any way affected or as much. I think Curry's probably the only one missing, isn't he? Oh, Wilson.
Yeah, and is old Dupree still? No, Wilson's at Newcastle now, mate, isn't he?
Of course he is. Yeah.
So is Dupree still banned?
I'm not sure, mate. Not sure, but
So you're going to say Sale for the win, but I'm going to obviously stick with my boys.
For sure.
But I am a little bit worried. It could be. I think if Sale take it, it will be 3 or 6 points victory. But I don't know. I think Leicester are coming into some decent form again. Borthwick's obviously getting them all moving as a unit in the right direction.
Sanderson will get the Sale boys going, mate. You ain't got a chance.
just on that as well. Obviously, Jordan Tuafua.
Yeah, he's
gone off to Lyon.
That's confirmed, is it?
Yeah.
Didn't like immediate?
Yeah, with immediate effect from what I read.
Fair play.
Bit of a loss, but obviously, again, we're following suit and brought in some big old Saffers that are playing well. So,
yeah,
we shall see. Okay,
if it doesn't fit, you got to go, isn't it?
Yeah, simple. Absolutely. So that moves on to Saturday. Gloucester, Northampton. Gloucester at home. I think this will be quite a tough game. I don't think either team lose too many players, but obviously both sides. Well, Northampton haven't played for about 4 or 5 weeks now, is it? Maybe 6 weeks?
Yeah,
because they had a couple of games with the COVID issues, didn't they? So, they're going to be looking a bit ring rusty, I would imagine.
Yeah, it could be fairly close contest, I think, isn't it? But
yeah, I think it will be a close contest, but I think with Gloucester at home, I'm just going to say that Gloucester kind of win this one, but it'll be close, maybe within 7 points.
Yeah, I think I'd go the same, mate. It's home advantage being probably the key thing on that one, isn't it? Just because it is fairly close.
Yeah, and obviously Gloucester are bottom of the table, but like I said, with Northampton not playing for several weeks, that rustiness, that maybe lack of cohesion as a unit, it might take them a bit of time to get going. Gloucester hit the blocks running, come out the blocks running rather. It could be a decent win and a much needed win for Gloucester, I guess.
Yeah, and as far as missing personnel, is obviously Johnny May for Gloucester, isn't it? I don't think there's
Ollie Thorley still injured, isn't he? Is Reece Samet with the Welsh squad?
Yeah, well, it's weird with the Welsh ones, isn't it? Because they're allowed to play, but it's whether or not the individual clubs select them, isn't it? Because
right, okay.
There's talk of that because obviously with it being COVID, coming in and out of mixed squads and stuff, do they want them back in the sort of club squad with the potential of spreading the virus or whatever? But personally, I think most of them are going to, if they're available to play, they're going to play their internationals, aren't they? And
of course they are.
Then you've got Dan Bigger at
Northampton.
Saints, isn't it? Yeah, Courtney Laws is out, which is a bit of a blow for them. But
yeah, but like we said, they don't lose too many.
Who Gloucester or Saints?
Saints.
Either
or both.
Yeah, Courtney Laws. That's about it, isn't it?
Dan Bigger. He's with Wales, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's obviously available to play.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course, the Welsh. Yeah, sorry, mate.
Yeah,
you've literally just said that. So yeah, sorry.
I know. Are you listening?
Yeah, no, mate, I'm listening. And then the next game.
Past your bedtime. You haven't fallen asleep there, have you?
Mate, this is well past my bedtime. Exeter Worcester at Worcester. Obviously, Exeter coming off 2 defeats, losing a key number of players to the various squads. Slady, obviously, Hogg.
Exeter. Exeter win, mate. Exeter win. I think they're going to be personally
chomping at the bit,
putting right the 2 losses. Yeah, with a couple of weeks to sort of work on it and reset, sort of thing. I wouldn't like to be Worcester this weekend, but
no, I think Exeter, obviously, like you say, they're going to be benefiting from a couple of weeks off. I think they looked tired in the last couple of games.
Yeah, it was a well timely break for them, wasn't it? But
yeah, although obviously we know Baxter was pushing for the 2 weeks to continue to play. So let's see. But I think I mean, sorry, who are you going for in the Gloucester Northampton? We're saying it's close, but you're going Gloucester home, like I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to both go Exeter win.
Yep.
Although Worcester do play some nice rugby and they do open up space and throw the ball around a little bit, but
yeah, they do. I like Worcester, but I just I think it's going to be Chiefs this week. But
okay, I'll go with that as well. Sunday, London Irish Newcastle, interesting one. Newcastle away at London Irish. Obviously, Gary Graham's selected in the Scotland squad. I don't think London Irish lose any players. Newcastle obviously third in the league at the moment, I think. Playing some really good rugby. They've got the grit, they've got the determination. Dean Rich is at the helm. London Irish, quite inconsistent at times, but still playing some decent rugby. What do you reckon?
I think it's actually quite a tough one to call. But I'm going to, just because of the way they've started their season and the sort of form they were in up until this 2-week break, I'm going to go Newcastle. What are you going for?
I think I'm going to say Newcastle, but they just edge it again. I think it's going to be quite close. a close game. To be fair, I think the majority of the games this week will be close affairs, and it'll only be, a few penalties in it, or maybe a try in it or so, apart from maybe the Exeter game. But yeah, I think,
and the Tigers Sale will probably get 5 or 6 tries to 0 there.
Interesting. We'll disagree on that one. And then obviously Wasps Quins. Quins obviously first game without Gustard. I'm assuming Quins would have only lost Marler, but he isn't going. So does that mean he's going to play for Quins?
You would have thought so, yeah. That would make him available for Quins, I think, won't it?
Yeah. And obviously Wasps have lost West, Adogwu, Jack Willis, Dan Robson as well, or not?
I think he's in, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Oh man, we're rubbish at this, aren't we?
And Umaga's in the shadow squad, isn't it? But I don't know whether those guys are available or not. But
the shadow squad sounds quite cool, doesn't it?
It's mad, isn't it? I don't really get it, to be honest, mate. But I know they've got to sort of go under the same testing protocols, but I don't think, because obviously the main difference this year is the sort of 28 slightly smaller squad are all completely unavailable for the full duration of the tournament, aren't they? Whereas normally they send a few guys back each week, don't they, back to the clubs?
Which kind of does make sense with the sort of situation. I mean, like you said earlier, alluded to, going from one pod or bubble to another one, it kind of does make a bit of sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's obviously tougher on the clubs, but it's the right way to proceed, I think. But yeah, I don't think that's the case with this shadow squad. I don't think they have to sort of remain in the England camp. They're just I think they're just being tested at the same regularity as the England guys, isn't it? So
okay,
as far as I understand it, but
no, that's good, mate. That's fine. That's fair.
So that would mean Umaga is available, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, Wasps are losing more, definitely, aren't they, this week?
Yeah, and I think they're losing kind of the key positions as well, like Robson. Launchbury's obviously injured. Jack Willis is obviously going now with Underhill withdrawing.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And
Adogwu as well.
They're sort of top attacking guy this season so far.
Yeah, so it's... but Wasps are at home at the Rico. Quins are rudderless without their captain. Without their coach. What do you think?
It's I think, like the Irish game, I think it's a tough. Both of those could go either way, but I'm going to go Wasps, just because
their form's better.
They're on good form. They're at home, and Quins. I mean, you never know when a coach leaves like that, but it could go either way. But I just think it'll be a bit of a disruption to them, because it was, as far as I know, it was fairly unexpected for everyone, or a bit of a shock announcement for everyone, as in most of the players and stuff. But so yeah, I think just with the disruption there, and Wasps with the home advantage and form, just about pip it.
Yeah, but I think I'd agree with that. But another tight affair.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of wraps up the Premiership for this week. And
we agree on all there, apart from...
I think we've agreed on all of them, apart from the Tigers game, obviously.
Tigers game.
And the Allianz 15s for the ladies. There's a few games coming up over the weekend as well. Ones that have been kind of missed due to COVID stuff as well. So that's quite cool that's back.
Are they back on? Are they?
They are back on, which is
so
good.
what? They've resolved the testing.
I don't know
scenario,
if I don't know if they've resolved the testing scenario.
You would have thought they must have, surely.
Yeah, I'm still shocked by that. Even like a couple of weeks down the line, it just don't make sense to me. So just looking at the ladies' game Saturday, I'm not asking you to call the games. Chiefs against Saracens women, so that's going to be a good game.
Yeah,
Chiefs obviously kind of putting their team together, coming into a bit of form.
Go the Chiefs.
Yeah, but obviously Saracens women and have a lot of red roses.
Yeah,
quality outfit. Gloucester Hartbury.
That would be a good win if Chiefs did it. That wouldn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, that would be a good win. And it would be the Saracens' first loss of the season. Gloucester Hartbury against DMP Sharks. Obviously, if you follow the podcast, DMP have been getting an absolute arse kicking this season, hammerings each week. Gloucester Hartbury got quite a few red roses, so I would expect a victory for them. And those are the games from the ladies' game over the weekend.
Okay.
So just to go back to obviously the Premiership and the impact on our fantasy rugby. Obviously, there's quite a few players in our squads that have now been selected for England and various other nations. What's your kind of view this weekend on the fantasy rugby? Where's your thoughts coming to? Well, just trying to gauge.
In all honesty, I haven't even thought about it or looked at it yet, but yeah, there's obviously going to be a big impact at the start of the Six Nations with the international call-ups. I can't even off the top of my head think who, but I know there's definitely going to be a few in my own squad who would have been called up. So yeah, it's probably going to need a bit of chopping and changing just to get a squad out this week. But
and I think also
it's whether you. I mean, I suppose there's probably just no point having any of the internationals in your squad at this stage, is there? Because they're out until what is it? Sort of nigh on April, isn't it now? So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we've kind of highlighted I think we've highlighted the game's going to be quite close as well. So it's going to be interesting selection decisions. Let's just say, obviously, we don't want to give too much away to each other because it's a competition. And obviously, in the last round, I have pulled a few points back, which is quite nice. Hopefully, that continues over the weekend.
First round of the season.
All right. But that is true. Yeah. No, it's
close, but it's close. We said at the beginning it's a bit different this season, isn't it, with the way the season started? So I think it was always going to be fairly close. But yeah, hopefully we'll stay fairly neck and neck all the way because it makes it a bit more exciting that way.
Yeah, and a bit more to chat about on the podcast as well, doesn't it?
Exactly.
All right, mate. Well, listen, let's. I'll let you get on. Thank you very much for obviously coming along and chatting for a bit.
Good to speak, mate. Keep your chin up.
Yeah, mate. My chin will be up. Hopefully, if the kids stay asleep, don't wake up too early again. But yeah, mate. Listen, thanks again. I know obviously it's a bit late, well past my bedtime. Probably not yours.
Milk and cookie time now, is it?
Mate, absolutely. Milk and cookies are on the agenda just before bed. And yeah, so we'll talk again soon, mate. Bloody hell,
okay, mate.
We've chatted for nearly 50 minutes, mate.
That's good going.
Going to be the longest
podcast. It's a record.
Podcast yet.
You've done really well to stay awake, to be fair, mate.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. All right, mate. Listen, we'll let you get on, and we'll speak again soon, mate. Thanks again.
All right, mate. Take care, and yeah, speak to you next week.
All right, buddy. Take care. See you soon. So that brings us the end to episode 17. Thank you all very much again for listening. Just another thank you to iSpy Surveys for sponsoring the podcast. Go and check them out. As I said, they're a specialist survey and inspection company based in Exeter, Devon, who quite happily sponsor our show each week. So thank you to them. Thanks again to Ollie for finally being consistent in turning up in 2 episodes in a row, which was good. He had some good knowledge and some good insight, which makes a change. Like I said before, it's our podcast is available on all kind of platforms: Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcast, YouTube, etc. We are, as I said, on Twitter at top2inchesrp. So go over there, give us a follow, check us out. Let's look at our context and content even. And if you like what you see, give us a follow. If you don't, that's cool. We're not too fussed. Either way, we'll still be here trying to do and just having a bit of fun. Anyway, we will see you again next week where we will actually have some ruggers to review, which is fantastic. Hope everybody is well, keep safe, and we'll see you soon.